You ever told somebody that you're going through a difficult time in your life, only for them to tell you to look on the bright side? Maybe you tell somebody about how you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed at work, to which they say, "At least you have a job. There are millions of people in the world who would love to be doing what you're doing." Or maybe you've even told yourself, "I shouldn't be sad right now. I should be grateful and happy for all the things in my life." If you've experienced any of these or a variation of them, then my friend, you've experienced toxic positivity, a harmful way of thinking that can lead us and others to feel dismissed and unheard. Now hold on a second. You may be questioning how positivity can even be toxic in the first place. Isn't having a positive mindset a good thing? And if being positive can be toxic, how should we feel instead? Throughout this video, we'll answer each of these questions to fully understand the impact of toxic positivity. To begin, let's understand what is toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is the idea that as difficult as life may get, you should always stay positive and optimistic. In other words, it's always looking on the bright side, always maintaining happy thoughts and good vibes, and always thinking it could be worse. Now before we go any further, let's understand that not all positivity is toxic. After all, positive thinking has been shown to have a positive effect on one's health. It's been shown to lower the risk of heart attack, enrich social life, and increase the chance of academic achievement. But just in the same way that not all positivity is toxic, not all positivity is healthy either. Just as with any other emotion, positivity needs to come from a genuine place. It's when we start artificially forcing positivity into our lives or the lives of others that it starts becoming unhealthy. You see, when we use toxic positivity, we're essentially telling ourselves and others that the emotion we're currently experiencing is wrong, and if we try hard enough, we can get rid of it entirely. It gives us the illusion of being able to control what emotion we're experiencing, rather than accepting the reality of our emotions being brought out naturally by our experiences. It can make us feel shameful for not feeling what we think we should be feeling. It prevents us from genuinely connecting with someone and potentially closening our bond with them, and it also prevents us from facing challenging emotions. Toxic positivity can also come from the people around us. As an example of this, let's revisit that first example I gave. You're feeling stressed and overwhelmed at your work. Things seem to never end, and every time you tell yourself, "Next week will be different," it just isn't. So you decide to share this with a friend, letting them know how it's causing you a lot of anxiety, but yet you feel trapped because you need this job right now. They look at you with a smile and say, "At least you have a job. There are millions of people in the world who would love to be in your position." Yeah, thanks. You're not really sure how to respond, and part of the reason is that your friend is kinda right. There are millions of people in the world without a job that would like to be where you are. So why do you feel this way? Maybe I'm the problem, you think. Maybe I'm just ungrateful. The issue here isn't that your friend is right and that you should be grateful for what you have. The issue is that you haven't finished processing your current emotions. And now, you feel invalidated. You feel like your reason for feeling stressed isn't good enough. And now, you feel misunderstood. You feel like your friend doesn't get what you're going through. And now, you feel your current emotions are minimized. Any response with the words "at least" at the beginning of it would have been minimizing. Problems are always relative, and it's never fair to compare them to one another. Another form that toxic positivity can take is positivity manifestation, otherwise known as the law of attraction, the belief that positivity is brought into our lives by visualizing and thinking about it. Positivity manifestation, once again, gives us the illusion of being able to control what emotion we experience, rather than accepting the reality of our emotions being brought out naturally by our experiences. It also implies that we manifest negativity into our lives by having negative thoughts. But as anyone who's gone through a difficult experience in their life will tell you, this simply isn't the case. Bad things will inevitably happen to the happiest people because that's just how life works. And suggesting that somebody wants to experience a difficult emotion is nothing other than harmful. With that being said, manifestation does have some helpful elements to it. For example, before we start achieving something, we want to be able to visualize that end result and see ourselves succeed, as that can help to increase our confidence and our chance of success. But the idea that emotions can be manifested and controlled is a very unhealthy way of thinking. Sure, you may want to feel positive and grateful right now, but you don't. And forcing yourself to feel that way is only going to suppress your current emotions of unease, which is very detrimental to your health. But exactly how detrimental? I mean, is toxic positivity even that big of a deal? Studies have shown that by suppressing our emotions, we negatively impact our blood pressure and memory, increase our risk for diabetes and heart disease. And in a study by the Harvard School of Public Health and the University of Rochester, was shown to increase the chance of premature death from all causes by more than 30%. This was found by having over 737 individuals take the General Social Survey, which, among other questions, asked them to respond to a series of statements on a 5-point scale ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. The emotion suppression part of the survey consisted of these 6 statements. As I read them, consider how you would respond to each of these statements. I keep my emotions to myself. I'm not afraid to let people know my feelings. When I'm angry, I let people know. I often don't tell my friends something that I think will upset them. I try to be pleasant so that others won't get upset. When I'm anxious, I try not to worry anyone else. Depending on how you answered these, you may be suppressing your emotions. Suppressing our emotions can also cause us to be more aggressive. In a study done by professors at the University of Texas, subjects would be asked to watch a notoriously disgusting scene from Monty Python: The Meaning of Life and Trainspotting starring Ewan McGregor. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you these scenes on screen, but trust me, you don't want to look them up if you get queasy. Especially not after lunch. Anyways, before they subjected them to these scenes, they had half of the subjects stay up for 24 hours straight, while the others were allowed to sleep. In addition to this, half of the subjects would be asked to watch the scenes without visibly reacting, while the others were allowed to watch with no restrictions. After the subjects watched the scene, they were then told they would compete with an online opponent and could blast a noise level anywhere from 1 to 10 to annoy them. The group of subjects that watched the scenes without any sleep deprivation or restrictions set their noise level between 4 and 5 on average. Interestingly, the subjects that stayed up weren't any more aggressive than those that got rest. However, the subjects that were instructed to suppress their emotions while watching the scenes set their noise level between 6 and 7, a whole 2 levels higher on average than those who didn't suppress their emotions. Toxic positivity is prevalent throughout much of our lives. All over social media, we see people posting nothing other than the best and most positive parts of their life. At our job, we're expected to maintain a positive attitude and always walk into work with a smile on our face. Friends and family stick affirmation post-it notes around their mirror to tell themselves how much they love their life every morning. Even as babies, our parents would tell their friends how they just want a happy baby and how they want us to live a happy life. It's nearly inescapable anywhere you go. So what can really be done about it? Oftentimes when toxic positivity happens, it's usually because we think that it will genuinely help either ourselves or someone else. I don't think anyone intentionally uses positivity in a toxic way, but rather, they just don't know how to navigate those feelings in a healthy way because, for a lot of us, we're never really taught. So why don't we take a moment to learn how to do so, shall we? The first step to navigating an emotion is labeling it. In a study done by psychologist Matthew Lieberman, putting feelings into words, or labeling them, often decreased activity in the amygdala, the area of the brain responsible for processing emotional stress. In other words, labeling our emotions can help to put us at ease in a natural and healthy way. Simple enough, right? Well, the issue here is that, despite what Inside Out may have us believe, there are way more than just 5 emotions. There could be anywhere from 6 to 27 to, oh my gosh, 34,000? While the exact number of emotions we experience is highly contested, here are the most common emotions that most people would agree we experience. Once we think we know what emotion we're experiencing, I can help to say the emotion out loud and see if it feels right. For example, I feel fearful. Be sure to avoid saying that you are the feeling. Does that feel right? If not, that's okay. Simply move on to the next emotion until you figure out what you're feeling. After we've figured out what emotion we're experiencing, we can then move on to validating our emotion. There are 3 key things here that we need to understand about our emotions. First, every emotion we feel, have felt, or will feel is completely valid. Emotions are natural reactions to the world around us. For example, when you're driving and someone cuts in front of you, nearly hitting your car, you don't think to yourself, I think I'm gonna raise my blood pressure, increase my rate of breathing, and feel scared for my life. Your mind and body just naturally react by feeling scared. The same goes when you feel depressed after a traumatic event. It doesn't matter how grateful you think you should be, you feel depressed in that moment, and that depressed feeling is completely valid. Second, there's never a right way or wrong way to feel. If a relationship that you value ends and you feel sad and lonely, that's okay. If a relationship that you value ends and you feel practically nothing, that's also okay. Oftentimes we'll feel shameful about not feeling a particular way and we'll try to force a certain emotion. But as we've mentioned many times before, we can't force ourselves to feel a specific emotion. And lastly, there are no positive emotions or negative emotions. There are no good emotions or bad emotions. There are only emotions that are harder to experience than others. Depression and anxiety are often seen in life as being the bad emotions. If we eliminate these emotions from our life, then we can live happier and better lives, right? Well, imagine what life would be like without these emotions. Our highs wouldn't be as high. Our feelings of joy wouldn't be as strong. These difficult emotions, difficult as they may be, help give meaning and perspective to the rest of our experiences. Feeling depressed and anxious is difficult, but pretending we don't is even more so. Finally, after we've labeled and validated our emotion, we can finally move on to experiencing it. Everybody experiences their emotions in a different way, so there isn't exactly a one-size-fits-all when it comes to this. But it's important that we don't close ourselves off or run from the feeling. We need to experience a complete rise, peak, and fall of our emotion. Here are some of the most common ways that most people experience their emotions. Going on a walk, listening to music, holding or being near someone else, crying, talking or writing it out, meditating, expressing through creativity. Now, of course, there is a time and a place for us to experience our emotions. For example, work probably wouldn't be the best place for most of us to do this, so we may need to hold off on experiencing them, and that's okay. Holding off on experiencing your emotions doesn't automatically mean you're suppressing them. It's only when we hold them off indefinitely that it becomes unhealthy. It's very important that when we're holding off on experiencing our emotion, we tell ourselves, I am feeling a difficult emotion. I will allow myself to experience and process this emotion later today, but for now, I will stay focused on what I am doing. And then when we're home, we'll label, validate, and then experience our emotions. Just as with anything in life, we cannot force positivity. Positivity needs to come from a genuine place within ourselves. There is no correct way to feel, and there is no wrong way to feel. There are no good emotions, and there are no bad emotions. We are human beings with a wide spectrum of complex emotions, and every one of them is real and valid just by being felt. To be human is to experience the challenges that life throws our way, and to grow stronger from them.